A few days ago, Luke and I looked into one of the most unique and complex music Easter eggs in all of Halo. And after that video went out, and Marty O'Donnell tweeted about the video, saying that we mostly got it, we're really close, but there were a few more things hidden within that Easter egg that players had yet to discover. And this led us down one of the deepest rabbit holes we've ever fallen into. And while ourselves, along with the Halo community as a whole, spent hours upon hours trying to crack the rest of the Easter egg and whatever other clues were out there, we started to realize that throughout all of Halo, a lot of these musical Easter eggs have some very specific and deeper esoteric meanings behind them. It makes us wonder, is there a deeper story behind all of the musical Easter eggs that have been hidden throughout every Halo game over the years? And while we might not have all of the answers, maybe some of the clues that we find here could lead us to answers in other mysteries that we've been wondering about for quite some time. And while for the sake of this video, we jumped into all musical cues and hidden secrets from Halo 1 to 3 to Reach and ODST, first, we wanted to look at the I Would Have Been Your Daddy Skull musical Easter egg one more time, just based off of the community effort and some extra hints that Marty revealed along the way, so you guys can get a good understanding about how specific and thought out a lot of these Easter eggs could end up being in the Halo universe that have still kind of gone undiscovered. And both the best and worst part about hunting for these Easter eggs is that sometimes the clues are right in front of us. Now, when we first looked into the video of the skull, and if you haven't watched that video, check it out in the end cards at the end of the video, we noticed that to activate the skull, which of course you have to get by jumping through all of the rings in the correct order, during this specific cutscene, the camera pans right through all of the Halo rings and you can hear the different pitches that each ring emits. Now, we thought that this was Bungie's intention to drive players to discover the Easter egg as a major clue to the musical involvement in the Easter egg and how players could potentially figure out each note as the camera flies right through the rings, or at the very least you kind of get a glimpse of what the notes sound like. But then literally the next line of dialogue right when the flood drops down in front of Master Chief is this:
"Do not shoot, but listen."
I mean, that's a huge clue. And honestly, I feel kind of silly that we missed it, but one Halo player named Steven DiBerardino actually made the catch of the cutscene and also discussed a few things about the musical scale that is used in the rings. Essentially, since the main Halo theme is famously known for the E Dorian scale, now when we did the first video, I was just going by ear, figuring out what the notes were, and while all the notes that I picked were correct, some people pointed out that I should have notated my flat notes as the sharp versions of the notes instead, which would accurately line up the notes in the B minor scale. Now, Steven did end up becoming the winner of Marty's challenge for finding the hidden clues, but Marty did also push a little bit on Twitter that there was something else that was really big that would also have helped players figure out this Easter egg without hacking. So while more people were speculating, Steven pointed out the fact that the tonic is E, which would line up with the red Halo ring, and Marty kind of clarified that a scale typically has 8 pitches, with 7 of them being unique, and it goes from tonic to tonic. And then he confirmed that Alpha Halo being red was kind of a dead giveaway that it's supposed to represent that tonic. Just a few extra clues that would have led players to finding which notes that they would need to use to pull off this Easter egg. Also, another theory that I somewhat worked on came up after a Twitter user, QuarkTypeM, suggested that the Circle of Fifths could be represented in Alpha Halo. So of course I jumped on Photoshop and tried to figure out what the significance of the Circle of Fifths could be, and it looks like all of the notes on the side that's broken of the Halo ring line up, of course, for that B minor scale. No confirmation on that one, but it could have been an extra hint if someone was to look at that ring and wonder if it represented the Circle of Fifths. There's also a bunch of great YouTube videos of people who dove into this Easter egg as thoroughly as we attempted, and they definitely helped further the discussion and make more discoveries along the way. So with the detail and effort that went into this one musical Easter egg, we started catching ourselves falling into looking at all the other music that's been hidden throughout the Halo franchise. Now, one of the most popular hidden tracks in all of Halo is the Siege of Madrigal. It's been hidden in every Bungie Halo game, and actually originally debuted way back in Myth, before Bungie was even working on Halo. Now, being at the Citadel for this Easter egg, actually right before you enter this area, if you go up in a Hornet on the left-hand side of the building and stand in this corner, you can get a little piano excerpt that plays a small section of the main melody, which even could have been a clue for that last Easter egg to think about Marty Easter eggs, especially because there's another Easter egg on the other side of the building that also is Marty related. So honestly, going into this building we should have already been thinking Marty O'Donnell in the first place for this. Matter of fact, if we jump back to Halo 2 on Ivory Tower, the description for this map references Lance O'Donnell, which is obviously a clever reference to Marty O'Donnell, and this is the level where you can find Siege of Madrigal hidden away there. Also, while we're talking about Ivory Tower, on the level New Alexandria in Halo Reach, you have to go to a building that is very obviously based off of the multiplayer map Reflection, which was originally Ivory Tower in Halo 2, kind of tying this all together. But when you're going up the elevator, you have a chance to hear various different tracks that play as the elevator music. One of them could be the Siege of Madrigal, but also some of these are likely musical jingles that Marty O'Donnell worked on throughout the course of his career, as before he worked on Halo, he was doing jingles for commercial and television. We weren't able to figure out which jingles these would go to. They could have just been cut jingles that were never published and he hid them in the game, but it's pretty clever nonetheless. Now in Halo Combat Evolved on Assault on the Control Room, if you move quick enough at the end to grab a Banshee and then fly up to the tower, standing up in this area can trigger the version of the song to play here. Now interestingly enough, depending on what audio setting you have set up in MCC, you can either get the classic Combat Evolved version or Combat Evolved Anniversary, which has a slightly different variation on the song. Of course, the Anniversary versions of the game was post-Bungie, so the song was altered slightly. In Halo 3 ODST, the section with the AA Wraith, you can fly your Banshee over to this section and you can get the song to activate and also see this hologram type thing of Marty O'Donnell just kind of grooving to the song. And then weirdly enough, in MCC's version of ODST, they replaced this Easter egg with the same track, but instead it's Frank O'Connor as Beamish the janitor. And then Halo Reach is really interesting because this song actually shows up multiple times. If you go on the level The Package and you do the hidden switch on legendary difficulty, you can make your way into Halsey's lab and eventually the song will start playing while you're in there. And it's kind of this meaningful moment because in Halo Reach, this was Bungie's farewell to the franchise. And it's cool just that this song, while it had roots in older games like Myth, was kind of a hidden thing in each Halo game, solidifying it as a really cool homage to everything that Bungie and Halo had succeeded in. There's also a very popular Easter egg on New Alexandria where if you go and hit a hidden switch and then head over to Club Herrera, not only can you hear a really unique remix of Never Surrender, which was a song from Halo 2 that was not featured in gameplay, but it's definitely very 2004 sounding. But if you hit the switch on the rooftop while doing this Easter egg, you could actually change the song to a dance version of the Siege of Madrigal. But this of course isn't the only secret hidden within the Halo music. Back in Halo 2, the track Destroyer's Invocation, you can kind of hear this voice chanting. For instance, here's a short clip of the song playing normally. And then listen to it when you play it in reverse. This actually ended up becoming a recurring theme within Halo 3. Dread Intrusion has a reverse message, and to this day, some of the lines are still too difficult to fully make out what is being said, but there are some sections that are commonly accepted as accurate. In Halo 2 Anniversary, 343 actually continued this idea that was introduced in the older Bungie era games. When reversing the track Cryptic Whisper, you can hear a little bit of some dialogue that makes a reference to the Didact and some of Halo 4's storyline. But by far, the most interesting one that is probably the most relevant for our continuous searches across the Easter eggs of Halo that are still not fully understood is this track from Halo 3 named Black Tower. Now, hidden throughout the words that are reversed here are alliterations and callbacks to the T.S. Eliot poem, The Hollow Men. This track also isn't exclusive to just Halo 3, as you can hear it in Halo 3 ODST as well. And if you guys remember from our search for those ODST glyphs that we've been working on for months now, we can remember that Marty O'Donnell tweeted some very cryptic clues that was a direct allusion to T.S. Eliot's poem. Now, this poem has been featured in a lot of different references throughout Halo, like for instance, phrases like "this is the way the world ends" comes directly from this poem. There's cut dialogue dialogue from Halo 3 where Cortana directly references T.S. Eliot. So we know there's a very conscious decision in every single time that T.S. Eliot's poems are being utilized, and to have it ingrained in a track that appears in 2 different Halo games, and then of course an allusion to the poem being related to the glyphs, is definitely something that piqued our interest and something we're still looking into. And while a lot of people are always asking us how close we are to solving the ODST Easter egg, I'm not too sure this is going to be one that is as black and white as some people want it to be. Everything about ODST is shrouded in ambiguity, and that's one of the most fun parts about the different mysteries that exist within that game. Though I do have to say, we are getting close on at least having a theory that we want to present to the community that may at least point people in the direction of where to search for more information within this game. Maybe collectively we can figure out even more clues and other types of references that are hidden throughout ODST. But we are working on something. But while we're on ODST, another really great musical Easter egg is definitely if you're going for the Vidmaster Deja Vu achievement, where you have 4 players, Legendary, Iron Skull on, no vehicles other than mongooses and ghosts. When you head down to where you would actually jump in the mongooses and grab the rocket launcher, we get an alternate track than what typically plays on Coastal Highway. The song from Halo Combat Evolved, Rock Anthem for Saving the World, starts to play, and it's just kind of one of those really badass moments. Also in the Halo 3 multiplayer level High Ground, if you wait by the computer for a little while, the radio underneath it will eventually play the Halo Combat Evolved track Under Cover of Night. On the level Epitaph, if you stand up in this middle area, you can actually hear the Gregorian chant of the Halo theme, very similar to what you can hear from those darn rings on the Covenant. Actually, matter of fact, there's something weird going on with these holograms, and I've fell down a whole nother rabbit hole while looking at the level Epitaph, so this is another thing I'm going to have to revisit in the future. This one we weren't too sure we should include, but we decided to include it anyways. But when promoting the original Halo game, Marty O'Donnell said, in reference to the grunts, that they were shiny and bumpy and bursting with love, which ended up becoming a pretty big joke in the Halo community, to the point where the acronym SABABWL was kind of snuck in a few different places throughout Halo. It has a little Easter egg in the original Halo soundtrack, and it appears as Morse code that you can actually hear by the flag spawns on High Ground. Halo 4 has a few musical Easter eggs as well. For instance, all of the Red vs. Blue dialogue Easter eggs in Spartan Ops play a little section of the original Red vs. Blue theme song. And if you load up the level All the Secrets on Halo 4 Spartan Ops on Legendary difficulty and get to the inside of the first building, you can actually destroy a loudspeaker, which then, in return, it opens up a door to the lower level. Once you go downstairs, you'll find multiple grunts just kind of dancing away to some Halo tunes. And while these ones are really cool as they're intentionally hidden there, there's something from Halo 5 Guardians that we don't quite have an answer to just yet. And at this point, with all these types of videos we've been doing lately, I pretty much reach out to Chris from Halopedia on a pretty regular basis, but he actually walked us through and showed us these mysterious music tracks in Halo 5 that aren't quite as normal as other music tracks in the game. For instance, this specific track that you're hearing in the background randomly starts playing when you stand in a certain location in multiplayer over in this plaza, and it's just really odd and almost out of place. But then to make it even weirder, it shows up again in this specific location in the campaign. We don't have any confirmation or information about why this is here or what the purpose it serves. It could just be atmospheric, but we'd like to think maybe there's more to it that we haven't quite figured out yet. And this next one's also really interesting, especially because it's also coming out from Halo 5 Guardians, but on the level Battle of Noctis for Warzone. If you stand near the art structure inside the monument, you can hear a section of a musical piece from composer Claude Debussy, which is actually a really clever callback to the Halo book, The Ghost of Onyx, which is a musical piece that Halsey requests while traveling aboard the Beatrice in 2552. But these are some of the most interesting musical Easter eggs hidden throughout the years of Halo. Huge thank you to Chris, or CIA 391, for the help with the Halo 5 stuff. Also, the entire Halo community that jumped in trying to figure out the musical Easter egg for I Would Have Been Your Daddy. That was really fun. And of course, Martin O'Donnell himself for hiding all of this stuff in the first place and then encouraging us to look into it, because it's been a pretty fun challenge. We've learned a lot along the way. Seriously, I've spent so much time studying music theory in the last couple of days. I think my head's going to explode, and then I would try to teach that music theory that I just learned to Luke so he could try to understand it also, and it's been a ride. But hey, if you guys liked this video, make sure you guys hit the like button down below and be sure to subscribe with notifications on for more videos like this. We sometimes try, to do good videos.
And also make sure to follow us on Twitter at Rocket Elijah. You can follow him over here, and at Rocket Sloth Luke. You can follow me. So make sure you follow both of us there. And thanks for watching our videos. We'll see you next time.